there in the YouTube lands. Welcome to another episode of the Wrestling Show. So far, I'm the only one here. I'm the co-host of the show. Was up in the YouTube chat earlier. I don't know if he's still out there or not. And I don't know if he's still having issues with his computer, so he may or may not be able to jump in as we go anyway. Uh, okay, he says he'll be in soon. But yeah, you had to go a little early tonight, an hour early. I really can't stay up too late tonight, and with that G23 doing a show, I figure, well, you know what? I guess I can go ahead and go live at 8 tonight instead of 9. So, give people something to watch, even if they're really not into the whole wrestling thing. But, it's something out there. So, anyway, see how we got Gunpowder Beauty out there, the proud mother of Bullwinkle. She's saying shenanigans, I tell you. Yeah, maybe. Maybe it's shenanigans, I don't know. And there's Kev and Rob, who says G23 is a slacker. And Fiend Dog is out there. So we got people rolling into the YouTube chats. And for those of you who haven't seen, after this we're done here, you can go over to the channel and watch the video I did on the Wilson Combat P365 grip frame. Got that video released earlier today. So that's out there for y'all to watch and take a look at. I like it better, like I said in the video, I like it better than the stock Smith. Oh, yeah, there we go. I did the same thing in the video. The stock SIG pistol grip. Yeah, I blame Rob for me wanting to say Smith & Wesson. It's Rob's fault. He's such a Smith & Wesson junkie. He's got everybody else saying Smith & Wesson. And, I'm wondering if Rob's one of those people that thinks that all guns are Smith & Wessons. But, did I call your baby Bullwinkle? I may have, and you have stated that the kid's nickname is Moose. Bullwinkle was a moose. Yeah. Yeah. Subliminally, you're coming around to the Bullwinkle thing. You just don't realize it. So, yeah. You may get to something about wrestling eventually. I don't know. Yeah, could just be a BS session tonight. There's Mr. Krabby Turtle. Evening, sir. Did I watch Rick's show or Ric Flair's last match? The way you spelled Rick, I'm going to say that, yeah, okay. Yes, I did. And that really wasn't a bad show. There were some really decent matches on that show. And I'll give this to Jarrett. That guy's in his 50s, and he still looks like he could go on a daily and nightly basis. So, yeah, that was... Jarrett was in pretty damn good shape. And speaking of the co-host, there he is. Evening, Kingpin. You there? May have technical issues. I don't know. Or he may be talking to our computer.
Dude, this computer is pushing its limits right now.
Best I don't know how much money you guys set aside. Best Buy has some good deals on laptops. Not as good as when I got mine, but still they have some good ones for their anniversary sale.
Uh, no, that's not going to work right this second. I need to get that. People, everybody out in the chat needs to go hit my Instagram and check the link for the Patreon and send me some money so I can go get a computer.
I wish it was that easy.
No, I guess I got too much going at one time. It's weird. Like if I open my email while I'm say watching a YouTube video, it'll take forever to open up. But once I got it open, I can click back and forth with no problem. But then when I close it and don't go there for a while, it takes a while. I mean, it's not good. I'm pushing too
Yeah.
much, I guess.
Yeah, and Kev, I didn't send you a link this week because I can't be up real late. And the more people you get in one of these chats, the crazier things get and the longer things tend to run. So just to control time, I only invited a couple of people in. So you'll, I'll send you a link and stuff next week. This week, it's just a couple of people, and that's it. So,
What's up, everybody out in the chat? I saw Fiend Dog, Rob D, Gunpowder Beauty, Kevin, Krabby, of course.
Krabby's talking about the Ric Flair's last match thing last weekend. He said he loved it. There were some good matches on that pay per view. Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. I'm like, oh, this is going to be a shit show. No, there was actually some decent matches on there. I mean, you had just about every somewhat major promotion involved in it too, which was kind of interesting.
Yeah,
You had
I was
good.
watching a lot of like the pre-show kind of stuff, and there was a bunch of celebrities of different wrestling like companies that were there.
Yeah, you had Ring of Honor was involved. GCW was involved, MLW was involved, WWE was involved, AEW was involved, New Japan was involved. Uh, the fact that you had all those companies involved in one show shows just what the wrestling business thinks of Ric Flair. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Plus, a bunch of people did like the call-in stuff, like the video. They made videos.
Yeah. I mean, you had it was a throwback because he had it where it was like the old. Remember the old TBS set?
Yeah.
That's where the announcers were sitting. Where it was like at the old TBS set, and you had the two main announcers were Tony Schiavone and David Crockett, just like 6:05 Eastern Saturday nights.
So
So
was
yeah,
Ric Flair's match? Who did he wrestle?
him and Andrade took on Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. Ed Flair took some bumps. Remember how we were saying, Flair's not really going to get involved? No, Flair took some bumps. And of course, he bladed. But it's Ric Flair. Of course, the guy can't brush his teeth without cutting himself with a razor.
Right.
I mean, he had two championships that I can remember were defended on the program. You had the Impact World Title and the Impact Knockouts Championship, which is their women's championship. Both were defended on the pay per view. I mean, it was and those were decent matches. I mean, it was a good show. It really. I was pleasantly surprised. Yeah, that's what I was just saying, Krabby. Jeff Jarrett looked really good for his age out there. Jeff Jarrett literally looked like he was 10, 15 years younger than what he actually is.
Didn't that's the Britt Baker thing, right?
No, Britt Baker's in AEW, not Team. No, not Impact.
I saw her wrestle the other day. I guess it was on television.
Yeah, it would have been probably what was it? Dynamite, her and um shit, Jamie Hayter in a tag team match against I forget who.
Oh, she had Thunder Rosa.
Yeah, Thunder Rosa and Tony Storm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that Tony Storm's a very good wrestler. She doesn't know how. It's like she acts weird in the ring. She's
Mhm.
pretty, but she acts kind of weird in the ring.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I didn't think she was that great when she was in WWE, to be honest with you. Oh, and speaking of WWE, there are rumors that Triple H is trying to bring Sasha Banks and Naomi back into WWE.
Right?
And last night, in a surprise appearance on SmackDown, Karrion Kross, who was released earlier this year, was back in the fold. So that was interesting to see. I didn't actually watch SmackDown, but I saw some of the reviews on it. And they threw him right into the main event storyline, too.
So did Ric Flair win?
Yeah, of course he did. Yeah, Ric Flair's son-in-law, Conrad Thompson, the one that does all the podcasts with the different wrestlers and stuff, was the guy that was producing the show. And he was sitting at ringside, and he throws Flair a set of brass knuckles. Andrade actually caught it and handed him to Flair. And Flair punches Jarrett, puts him to figure four, and the referee counts three. Because back in like how back in the old days, the guy would pass out in the figure four, and the referee would count the three count. That's
Yeah.
basically the way they played it up.
So did he look like an old man in the ring, or was
Flair,
yeah?
yeah, Flair looked like a guy his age, but he was taking bumps and stuff. I was surprised. But again, the one that really shocked me was the condition that Jeff Jarrett was in. When I said he looked like a guy that was 10, 15 years younger than what he is, I meant that. He looked like a guy that was 35 to between 35 and 50, not somebody who's approaching 60. You could tell he was hitting the weight room and stuff to get ready for this.
How long was the match?
Oh, God, that match went a good 20, 30 minutes.
Was the crowd real fired up?
What was that?
Was the crowd really fired up? Were they
Oh,
into it?
yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, at the end, Flair was crying and Tony Schiavone interviewed him and whatnot. All the wrestlers that were there at the show came out and like congratulated him, except for Jarrett and uh, uh, Jay Lethal. Obviously, they were their opponents. But the last thing you see as the camera fades to black is Jay Lethal comes back out as Flair's at the top of the ring and just gives Flair one hell of a big hug at the top, and that's the last thing you saw from the show as it
So
winked out.
they were still pretending like wrestling to close it out. Like Ric Flair didn't break character and be like, "Hey, Bob over here and I have pretended to fight for 20 years now, and he's become my best friend." Like they just stayed in character.
Somewhat, as far as the people that were involved in the match and stuff.
Yeah.
But again, at the top of the ramp, as Flair's going backstage, Jay Lethal's standing there and he gives him a great big hug. I don't know if that was supposed to get on camera or not, but it did.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, what's it matter? Is that's what I'm saying. Like, if it was or wasn't supposed to get on camera, would mean whether or not they were in character. Because if it's just one guy who works for the same company and a coworker who he's looked up to for years finally quits, you can just be like normal people and say, "Hey, thanks, John." You know,
Yeah, there were also a few of the older wrestlers out there that Flair has faced over the years. You had Mick Foley was in the crowd.
yeah, seeing that.
Under Undertaker was in the crowd. Uh, Bret Hart was in the crowd. I mean, there was a few of them. DDP was at the show. He was in the crowd. He got involved in one of the matches.
Sting, I think Sting's interview, like his little video, was pretty good.
Yeah.
basically said that you know, Ric Flair made me what everything, you know.
Yeah, that was the one complaint I had about the show, though. They didn't show those little things once. They kept showing the same ones over and over again all night. That's the one complaint I had. I got by the time the show was over, I was sick and tired of seeing the Cody Rhodes one. They showed that like 7 times.
Yeah, I saw it once. What when Ric Flair and Tony Schiavone were in the ring talking, were they still in character or did they break character?
Oh, they were outside the ring. Yeah,
Well, that's what I
Flair,
mean. After
yeah,
the match, whatever.
yeah, Flair gave his usual, but the babyface Flair kind of promo, and he's like, "Everything you've heard about me is true." He's like, "Me and Kid Rock are going out partying when we're done here." Yeah, because Kid Rock was there too. You know.
Again, I hope he had fun, man. I hope he enjoyed himself.
Oh, I think he did. I mean, especially at the end when he had all the guys come out of the locker room and they're all standing there around the ring and like shaking hands with him as he's walking away, and then they all did like a 50-person group hug. Everybody just like got around Flair and gave one big group hug. So that was kind of, yeah, it really was a good show. Like I said, I was pleasantly surprised. And the one thing that annoyed me was the repeated videos being shown, the same ones over and over and over again.
Now, is he gonna like leave wrestling, or is he gonna be like an announcer and a manager and all that kind of stuff now?
I
Or
have
is
no
he
idea what
gonna
Flair's
like
going to do.
retire and go enjoy his life?
Yeah, I have no idea what Flair's going to do. To be honest, they didn't say this. That's all they're saying is that this was the last time he will be in the ring as a wrestler.
Yeah.
So I have no idea what's going to go where he's going to go from there. I mean, there's and rumors are that he just signed a Legends contract with WWE. So the rumors of him moving over to AEW to manage Andrade and stuff may not be happening. But that would be a good role for him too, because Andrade does not speak very good English. Because he's from Mexico and he is Flair's son-in-law. So putting him and Flair together, let Flair be the guy on the mic, which Flair is one of the all-time best on the microphone. We all know that. So yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, the reality is Flair was one of the best on the mic. Uh, because of his energy and his woo and all that kind of stuff. He's got to adapt because sometimes when I hear him do that woo now, it's like that's really pathetic. You should stop doing that. Like he needs to embrace the fact that he can still have the same energy, but he's gotta develop a new, more subdued type of character, I think. Because he can't. I mean, he can't scream at the top of his lungs for the rest of his life either. But his mind, like the little quick rhymes that he comes up with, and the insults, and all that other kind of stuff. Obviously, yeah, you'd have to say he's the best that there's ever been.
I would say he's one of the best because there's a couple of guys from that era besides him who were just as good. I mean, he had Dusty Rhodes. I mean, that guy could come up with something off the top of his head and just like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And then you
Uh,
have Randy Savage, who would just go the opposite direction. His promos were great, but they were so crazy. So yeah, there are other people from that era that were just as good on the mic as Flair. So I would say Flair was one of the greatest of all time on the mic on with the stick in his hands. But there's some other guys that are just as good.
all right, so here's an idea. We could either do it tonight, or we can do both. We can go down and each of us pick our top five, and then whoever's out in the chat, if you want to drop your names in there as well, uh, then we can also do a bracket on best mic wrestlers, like cuts the best promos. And they have to keep the bracket kind of small, so you'd have to determine whether or not, like,
Yeah,
you'd have to come up with whether or not you could make a bracket.
yeah, that would be something we can do on another night. That tonight's just not that's not going to work
Well, yeah,
tonight.
no, because you'd have to make that's what I mean. You'd have to think about how you're going to make the bracket, and you'd have to put in all the wrestlers' names and all that. So obviously, we're not going to do
Well,
that.
not just wrestlers. We could put some managers in there too, because there were some really good managers with them on that were
Yeah.
really good on the mic.
Well, we'll kick it around, and if you want to do that, we'll do that on some Saturday night.
I mean, you could put Paul Ellering on that list. You could put Jimmy Hart on that list. Freddie Blassie. There's some really good managers out there. Jim Cornette, that you could put on best talker list.
Yeah, that's almost unfair though, because Jim Cornette was, Barbarian wasn't paid to talk on the mic. He was paid to be a giant, massive, scary-looking dude who could kick you in the face. So maybe we would have to put like a side bracket on for the managers, because that's a whole different story. Those guys are like paid to be good on the mic.
Well, the whole point of the manager was for guys that weren't any good on the mic. The
Well,
guys
that's what
that
I'm saying.
weren't
Like,
good on the mic got a manager.
yeah, it'd be like, okay, we're gonna have a basketball tournament, and you get to pick Michael Jordan's manager. I'll get Michael Jordan. You can have his manager. So that's what I said. To put any wrestler up against Jim Cornette or Paul Ellering or anything like that, or the fat guy that does the thing now.
Well, you
That's
got to
not
remember,
fair.
most managers at one time were wrestlers. The only two I could think that probably weren't from the era when we were younger, when we were watching wrestling, would have been Cornette and Hart. The others were all former wrestlers.
There you go. Krabby's got a good idea. We do 1 week wrestlers, 1 week managers, and then a sudden death between the winner of the wrestler versus the winner of the manager.
As far as a top 5 all time talker, and this will be in no particular order whatsoever: Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes, Randy Savage, Roddy Piper. Number 5. Who would I put at number 5? Jericho.
All right. Before I go into my list, let's take a side little tangent. Get the elephant in the room out of the way. Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan extended on the mic, not good. But the few say your prayers, eat your vitamins, brother, WrestleMania, brother, that used to get people pretty hyped up.
Yeah, Kirby brings up Elizabeth. Yeah, but Elizabeth didn't talk. Rarely did you hear Elizabeth talk. So that. The thing with Elizabeth, whereas a lot of the other managers, in fact, most of the other managers, I think Paul Ellering might be the other one that's an exception to this. They didn't really handle the guy's business affairs and stuff. But Elizabeth actually handled Savage's business affairs. Even after they got divorced, she still was his business manager behind the scenes. And Paul Ellering actually handled the Road Warriors' financial affairs, even after he wasn't on screen with them anymore. When WWE pulled him from being their on-screen manager, he was still handling their stuff behind the scenes as well. So those are the only two that I could think of that actually were not just their on-screen managers, but their actual real-life manager as well.
All right, my top 5, just off the top of my head, no specific order. Ric Flair, Randy Savage, Hawk and Animal as one, the Road Warriors as one. Uh, man, Dusty Rose for sure, and probably Arn Anderson. When they would stand back there, Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard, or Arn Anderson and Ric Flair, and Arn Anderson would start talking about ripping your legs off, and I mean, that used to I used to get fired up, man.
Yeah, Arn Anderson is overlooked for his ability on the mic. He really, really was. But look who he was with. Most of his career, he was with Ric Flair. So when you're the guy that's standing behind Ric Flair while Ric Flair is doing his talking, and you only get like a minute, minute and a half on the mic because Flair took up all the rest of the promo time, you're not gonna, that's going to affect how people remember you in the mic. But yeah, Arn Anderson was really good on the mic.
What's going on, Jason? Yeah, Arn was good. Plus, he had he looked like he was the kind of guy who would strangle somebody to death.
That's why they put him with the Andersons. When he got into Mid Atlantic, into the Crockett promotion, they put him with Ole Anderson because he looked like an Anderson. He wasn't actually an Anderson. I forget what his real name is right now. But Arn and Gene Anderson, I mean, Ole and Gene Anderson are actually related and whatnot, and they're from Minnesota. They were the original Minnesota Wrecking Crew. And those two guys taught Arn how to do promos. That was one of the reasons why Arn was put with Ole as the tag team when he first broke into Mid Atlantic, was so that he can learn from Ole. And he soaked up everything Ole taught him like he was a sponge soaking up water. Krabby brings up Kurt Angle. Yeah, Kurt Angle. And he said classy Freddie Blassie, yeah, who I mentioned earlier. And, yeah, I mean, can't deny that The Rock was good on the mic. Stone Cold could be good on the mic. I mean, there was a lot of guys that were good on the mic. Shawn Michaels could be good on the mic at not any given night. I mean, there's a lot of guys that could be on that bracket. Turning it down to 16 is going to be hard.
I'll go ahead and volunteer a whole bunch of people for some work. Kev, if you're out there, send your list in. Probably 5, 10, so 15 people maybe. Krabby, email your list in, and obviously Rich, you're the host, the MC. So you'd have to figure out between your thoughts and the guys who email you all their thoughts and put a list together. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard to come down to 16.
Yeah,
because there's so many to choose from.
Yeah, I mean, Scott Hall would have to be on a list of all-time best talkers.
Yeah, but see, you also have to take into consideration their failures. That Razor Ramon was some trash.
Well, he made the best of what he had because that was Vince's idea.
Yeah. Okay, I guess I gotta give you that because that's true. When your boss tells you gotta do something, I guess it is what it is.
Jason Stewart says Bill and Randy Malky, best tag team ever. They were what, 1 in 159,000? Yeah, DDP was good on the stick, yeah. Well, remember, DDP started as a manager. So, I mean, and before that, he was managing a nightclub. That's how he met all the wrestlers. It was the wrestlers that got him his gig being a manager. Because they would all, when they would be in Florida, they would go hang out at DDP, the nightclub that DDP was managing. That's how he met them all. Nash and Piper and a bunch of Hall. That's how he met all those guys. was managing a nightclub in Florida. I believe it was Tampa Bay area. He tells the story on one of the first episodes of the podcast that he does with Jake the Snake. Oh, Jake was another one that got it. That was in that. That's how he met Jake, was when he was managing that nightclub too. So
But Jake the Snake's an interesting one because Jake the Snake wasn't exactly good on the mic.
oh, Jake
But
was great on the mic,
well,
but
think it. Listen, look, hear my here. See, criticize my whole point because that's why I wanted to bring it to your attention because not necessarily on the mic, but his character. He played his character well enough that the few minutes that the microphone was in front of him, he got by. As opposed to like where a Ric Flair could get on the mic and just go off for a few minutes. You know what I mean? Does
yes,
that make sense?
yeah, but you got to look at what Jake was doing with the mic.
And
He wasn't out there being the guy that was shouting.
you
Jake's
have to
point
take
of
into
view was that he
consideration
was, yeah,
my
Jake.
my memory of detail too. Jake the Snake could have probably been on the mic every 5 minutes, and I just don't remember it.
Yeah, Jake's whole thing was he would talk to you in a low voice like this, and he would say sinister things that he was going to come to your house. He was going to put that snake all over you. That snake was going to wrap itself around you and crush you and kill you, and you wouldn't wake up in the morning to kiss mommy good morning. Jake was great on the mic because he got in your head the way the other wrestlers didn't do it.
I know people who didn't watch wrestling and and they were afraid of Jake the Snake. Like people didn't watch wrestling but knew who Jake the Snake was and didn't want to mess with that dude.
Yeah, yeah. Jake had you thinking, "Oh shit, this guy's gonna fucking kill me one day." He just came across as the psycho, because or the sociopath. He would just get there with that voice, real nice and quiet, like this, and he would say some freaky shit while doing it, and he had you thinking that he was going to do it.
Like Blackjack Mulligan was a dude who I thought was a real psychopath when I was a kid. Like he'd be screaming and whipping that whip and tobacco would be shooting out of his mouth. And I thought he was really going to go hurt somebody. Ted DiBiase is a good one. I don't remember Rick Rude doing a whole lot of talking.
Rude didn't. Rude Rude primarily let Heenan, or when he was in WCW before he went up, jumped to WWE, Paul Jones and the other guys do his talking for him. I mean, he would say some things, but he wasn't a really big talker.
And I concur. And of course, this show is about the people. So, Krabby, you're right. Let Rich pick all the people, and then all of us can tell him how much his list sucks.
Yeah, let you guys put a bracket together and see how hard it is to come up with, narrow it down to 16 things for a bracket.
I'm much better at criticizing people than I am at being creative.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
just from the psychological aspect of it, though, with what Jake was saying and stuff, he's got to go on the list of greatest talkers ever. Because he came at it from a psychological point of view where everybody else was just yelling and screaming. Jake would come out and he would just be the quietest person there, to where you actually had to stop and listen to hear what he was saying. And when you listened to what he was saying, he would like,
okay,
damn.
so okay, let's clarify. Let's actually basically we're just going to clarify my understanding because you guys probably already get it. When we're talking about on the mic, we're talking about just the character's audio presence, period. Not necessarily a front man, be like Ric Flair or Hulk Hogan, who's always on the mic, always talking kind of stuff. We're talking about their just the way they handled their character is going to be considered on the mic, right?
Yeah, their promo work and everything. Yeah.
Right. All right. Okay. Cool. Cool. Cool.
I mean, look at when Jake and Rude were feuding. Remember when Rude would come out to the ring with Jake's wife spray painted on his tights?
Yeah.
Jake still didn't raise his voice. You could see the anger, you could hear the anger, but he wasn't raising his voice.
Krabby's got a question for you. Jason was quick to answer that one.
No, Owen, Bret Hart sucks on it with a microphone in his hand. That's Bret Hart's weak point. He is not good on the mic. Yeah, Jesse Ventura was good on the mic, Krabby. I'll give you that. He
Yeah,
said, did we mention the body?
I remember seeing Jesse Ventura wrestle a time or two, but most of my wrestling experience that I can at least remember for Jesse Ventura, he was an announcer.
Mm-hmm.
And Roddy Piper was good. He's another one that made you feel like he was really going to go punch somebody.
Yeah. Jesse Ventura's claim to fame that I remember from him as a wrestler was when he was running his mouth about Barry Horowitz when he was announcing one of the matches. Horowitz came over and challenged him, and Jesse was like, "Yeah, you're just a jobber. I'll beat you in 5 minutes." So they have a match. I believe it was in Madison Square Garden, 5 minute time limit, and Horowitz beat him. That was freaking funny as hell.
Mr. Perfect was good. Kurt Hennig, otherwise known as, was also pretty good. But he seemed, from my memory, it was very limited to when he was talking and not just in the ring. Like the presentation of the character, from my memory of Kurt Hennig in the old wrestling and then Mr. Perfect in WWF, I don't remember a whole lot of his audible stuff. What was his finishing move? Mr. Perfect's finishing move?
Oh, the perfect plex.
Yeah, that was a nice move. I like that.
Yeah, it's basically just a fisherman suplex. A lot of guys do that now, and it doesn't pin anybody. But a lot of moves from back then that were finishers, people do now. And
Yeah.
when was the last time you saw somebody win with a finisher? Piper did it all the time. I mean, finisher where it was the sleeper. Piper put everybody to sleep with the sleeper. Now nobody goes to sleep with it.
Owen was good at dropping off of ladders, apparently. Was he like coming down from the ceiling?
No, they tried doing a Sting thing. You know how back during NWO era, Sting would drop down from the rafters in his crow gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
They tried doing that with Owen in WWE, and the equipment broke, and he fell to his death.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it was a freak accident kind of thing.
Yeah, Bob Backlund did become quite. Didn't he like? Wasn't at the end of his career where they were kind of trying to make him like a bad guy? Because I remember he did get quite mouthy at the end of his wrestling.
Yeah, when Bob Backlund was in the height of his career, he had a manager because he really wasn't good on the mic. When he got older, Vince told him to go out there and act like a maniac. And that's when the Backlund got good on the mic, when he was acting like a crazy person. You know, the crazy old guy down the street, basically, is what he was doing.
Let me put this image in your head. Mickey Rooney, Bob Backlund.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and look at Mickey Rooney. Bob Backlund was doing Mickey Rooney in Night at the Museum before Night at the Museum was in anybody's goddamn minds.
Could you imagine Bob Backlund in those big Japanese buck teeth?
Oh my god.
Bob Backlund, new to the wrestling ring.
Oh my god. That was what, Breakfast at Tiffany's?
Oh, is that what that one was? I think so, yeah.
You know, Audrey Hepburn and who was it, George Papard or somebody? That was a while ago. God, neither one of us were born yet when that movie came out.
Yeah.
I don't know if Gary was born yet when that movie came out.
Let me ask the Google. When did Breakfast at Tiffany's come out?
1961. According to
October
Encyclopedia
5th,
Britannica.
1961.
Yeah, so Gary would have been 1 year old, right? Wasn't he born in 60? Or was he born in 61?
I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I don't remember offhand.
Did G23 say why he didn't do a show today?
I don't know. No, he may have last week on the show, but I didn't get to watch the show last week, so I don't know.
Seen him pop into a Caliper corner this morning, and then I missed all the other chats today.
Oh, there's been an update on supposedly on the CM Punk's injury front. Apparently, his injury is worse than what they first thought, and he will not make AEW's next pay per view All Out at
He,
beginning of next month.
he's the one with the 2 broken bones in the foot, right?
Yeah, or as he put it, he crushed his foot.
Which is very possible. Some of those little
Yeah.
tiny bones in there could easily get crushed.
Yeah, they were more optimistic than what apparently the injury actually was. So, yeah, it's looking like he's going to miss that show.
Any
Winston,
what about Big Bootios? What's his name?
I've
Big
heard.
E.
Yeah, Big E. I haven't heard anything on Big E's injury, but again, that was one where we weren't expecting him to be back within a year. I mean, broken neck like that, it takes a long time before we come back from that.
Brock Lesnar quit when Vince McMahon quit or retired. Did Brock Lesnar come back yet?
Lesnar was there that night.
I know, but didn't I thought like the scuttlebutt was he was going to quit because Vince McMahon quit.
He walked out of SmackDown, and he came back that night, and he was at SummerSlam. Remember last weekend?
Yeah,
Triple H talked to him, and cooler heads prevailed on that situation.
So Brock is pretty much super pro Vince then.
Yeah. Oh, Brock. Yeah, Brock liked Vince. Yes, Brock is one of the from all reports, Brock is one of the only guys that Vince ever truly dealt fairly with and didn't try screwing him over somehow. But even then, there was a time period where Brock didn't like Vince too much. So, I mean, everybody at some point in their career who's worked for Vince McMahon didn't like him for one reason or another. I mean, do you know how Brock's got that sword tattooed on his chest that's pointing at his neck? That was a shot at Vince.
Wow. Krabby says, when's the next pay-per-view?
Yeah, well, I don't know when the next WWE one is Clash at the Castle. I'm not sure what time that is because that one's taking part over in Wales. I don't know if they're going to show that U.S. time or British time. If it's British time, we're probably not going to be able to do the live thing on that because everybody's going to be at work for that one because that would be like 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon probably. AEW, if somebody wants to pay for it, that's September 4th, I think, and that will be All Out, which is like their version of WrestleMania. So,
is that same usually $50 like all the rest of them?
Yeah, that's a $50 one.
Well, I mean, if you think it's good enough, I'll throw about it. If you don't think it's quality, then we don't need to pay for them just to watch them. But if you think it's a good one, then I'll hook it up.
All right. Yep. Jason's heading out. So have a good night, Jason.
All right, Jason. Take it easy, brother.
Yeah, like I said, All Out is like their WrestleMania type, their big yearly show. So they generally do a good job with that one. Did we watch that last year? I think we did.
I don't know what we watched last weekend.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking more. I was more thinking out loud than asking you because I knew you wouldn't remember. But I don't remember if we watched that one last year or not. We may have. But yeah, remember AEW only does 4 pay-per-views a year, so. Yeah, that would be the. I'd have to look and see which one because I don't remember when the one over in England, or I almost said England, over in Wales takes place. The time that is.
What time is it in Wales right now?
What time is it in Wales right now?
1:53 a.m.
It's basically 2 a.m.
Yeah.
So if it was 9 here and it's 2 a.m. there.
That's what I'm saying. It would probably be around 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon our time if they were.
Yeah, that's pretty much impossible.
Yeah. But they have shown live shows from England. Like they've done Raw and SmackDown live from England before at 8 o'clock our time. So, I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility for them to do it.
Well, I mean, they could always just run it live for anybody who wants to watch it live and then just replay it prime time,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, regular time for people who don't have time to watch it live. It's not like the
It'll be
Super
at
Bowl.
1 p.m. It'll be 1 p.m. Eastern. And that's a Saturday, September 3rd. So that's the same weekend as All In or All Out.
Yeah, they probably do both. They probably run it live and replay it because
Yeah, because it'll be on Peacock. After it runs live, you can watch anytime you want.
they're gonna get killed on the views if they host it at 1 o'clock on a Saturday
Yeah, I mean,
afternoon. In
if you
September.
guys wanted, we could watch it at 8 o'clock that night.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. We could do that.
And then the next night would be All In, or I keep on saying All In. All In was the first one.
You can
And
fast forward once if we're watching it in replay, right?
yeah, we can fast forward on replay.
Yeah, that's gravy. You can turn a 4-hour show into a 2-hour show real quick.
Yeah, skip over all the talking horse shit, and we got to show what led to this match, all that stuff. But yeah, and like I said, then next night we can watch All In. Or I did it again. I keep on saying All In was the very first one. All In was the pay-per-view that AEW had before there was an AEW.
This is a new Texas Hold'em channel, so that's why Rich keeps saying All In.
Well, All In sounds better than All Out. The reason why it became All Out under AEW was because they didn't want to use. They were making a pun on the first one being all in. So then the second one they were All Out.
I mean, they gotta try people. There's people in the marketing department getting paid big bucks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was Cody Rhodes' brainchild.
Cody Rhodes' brain's probably got all kinds of blue and black marks all over it right now.
Yeah, they're 5 hours ahead, Krabby. Usually, it used to be they would be 4 hours ahead, but in this country where you have people complaining about daylight savings time, over in UK, they implemented daylight savings time.
Well, we got rid of that, right? Like it's 9 o'clock forever now, right?
No.
We're going back to the clock thing again.
We're on daylight savings time right now. In November, when we switch, we'll be back on standard time.
Forever?
I don't know. I haven't heard anything saying that they ever repealed that shit.
Yeah, no, they passed it because that's like the first thing that the new Senate did, and the new Congress did was put a stop to that, switching the clock back and forth. That's like the one positive thing that they did, and it was like one of the first things that they did. Crabby on now. What's up, Chris? How you doing, man?
Evening, Chris. Yes, but yeah, we still have to go back to regular. If that's the case, we still have to go back to standard time in November.
Savings time.
In Maryland, daylight savings time started on Sunday, March 13th at around 2 a.m. and will end on Sunday, November 6th at around 2 a.m. Eastern Time. But these dates and times are estimated.
Sure.
Can't listen to that stupid thing.
It says U.S. Senate approves bill to make daylight savings time permanent. March 16th, 2022. I see what the problem is. It says it twice because it says the U.S. Senate again But it doesn't say anything about the House of Representatives. Wait a
Mm.
minute. House of Representatives. Yep, no, it's dead. The House didn't vote on it. Never mind. I take back the minuscule, tiny amount of
Well, hold up.
sort of kind of pity credit I was giving our
Yeah,
government.
the way they worded that daylight savings time would be permanent, which means we would keep doing it. It wouldn't end it. It would keep doing it.
No, the switch is the way they voted on it is even
Yeah, I
though
know. I'm saying the way they named it.
yeah, they're rejects. They all write stupid. They get paid for that stuff. But you're 100% right. But the meaning of it is supposed to be stop switching back and forth. Yeah, the Senate passed that back in uh, March.
Yeah, I doubt if the House is going to take that up anytime soon.
Uh,
They're too busy wanting to do all these stupid gun bills and January 6th horse shit. So what else we got going on?
we covered Ric Flair's match. We're gonna do the bracket. Did I finish my top 5?
You listed like 8, dude. You didn't even do a top 5. You did like 8.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the best things about wrestling is listening to those guys talk.
Yeah.
The Undertaker, I didn't like. You know, me, Mark Callis, and other characters that he played, I liked. But the
Mhm.
whole "I'm from the Wonder World" thing was
Yeah.
dumb with the Undertaker.
Yeah. The one time I liked the character of The Undertaker was when he did the American Badass Biker thing, and that's the one that everybody else hates. I can't. I don't like this. I am not a fan of the Dead Man character of The Undertaker, but when he was that biker dude, I was all on board with that.
I didn't really mind the whole Undertaker character. It's just when he talked, it was dumb. When it was more than just a quick sentence, then it was dumb.
Yeah,
I
I was.
couldn't stand Paul Bearer with his high pitched squealy voice and his jowls shaking back and forth like he was a dead preacher.
Yeah. The best part is his family business actually was undertaking. That's what his family did. That's the background he came from before he got into wrestling. Talking about Paul Bearer, obviously not Mark Callis. Mark, the hell is his real name? Calloway, Mark Calloway. But yeah, the thing I remember about him, other than his time in WWF/WWE as Paul Bearer, was when he was in WCCW and he had that cane that turned into a stool. He would unfold the cane and sit at ringside while his guys were wrestling. Then he would get up, turn the cane back into a cane, and hand it to them so they can use it as a weapon.
Paul Ellering was the name of the Road Warriors manager, right? That little skinny guy.
Yeah, yeah. And
He
he
looked
wasn't skinny. He just looked skinny next to the Road Warriors. He's a former bodybuilder.
well. He had the salt and pepper goatee, right?
Yeah. And he always had like a copy of the Wall Street Journal with him.
And he wore glasses, like they were usually sunglasses, right? Not
Yeah, he
like
would wear sunglasses. Yeah.
he looked like a guy who would be the manager for guys that looked like the Road Warriors.
Hmm. And like I said, he actually was their business manager. It wasn't just an act with them. He actually was their business manager.
All right. Are there any good women on the mic at all? Is this conversation already over? That's what I thought.
Well, are we talking wrestlers, or are we going to talk backstage interviewers too?
Well, see, we can't count interviewers because, like that pretty girl that sits next to Booker T in the pre-show for the WWE, her whole career minded is to be, what do they call them? What do they call the people that sit behind the anchor? You know,
Mhm.
so that's her entire life has been to have that on camera presence. So that's kind of unfair. They're kind of like, you know,
Mula could talk.
Jerry the King Lawler is fairly good uh, as an announcer. I liked him as a wrestler on the mic more than I like him as the announcer on the mic. So, you know, just making up a name. If Trish Stratus was announcer for a week, she might have done a fabulous job. But when she was wrestling, she was probably not that great.
Mula was good on the mic. We all know about her and the way she was backstage stuff, but she was good on the stick.
Krabby, I submitted my stuff on the 13th. I got my certificate and all that 5 seconds after they instituted the whole thing. Uh, but I did my submission on the 13th, I guess, of last month, so 7/13. And about maybe 2 weeks later, maybe a week and a half later, I got an email back, and apparently I sent in the certificate. I sent a picture of the certificate, and I meant to send a picture of the score sheet. So I had to redo it and send it back in. So I think the 27th is where my number's at right now. We're talking about the CCWs for Maryland.
That's what I was figuring.
Yeah. A lot of people have left comments and contacted me and been like, yeah, I finally got mine. It took about 2 weeks, kind of stuff like that. But I just made a mistake and took a picture of the wrong. I took a picture of the actual certificate, but what they wanted was the score sheet that got me the certificate. So I had to basically get back in line.
Yeah, that's kind of bullshit that it takes that long, because here you get it the same day.
Well, you also didn't rupture a giant hole in a massive water tank in 1 second either. You've had a nice, slow, calm, flowing stream through West Virginia since the Civil War, where this was turned on overnight, kind of like the California Mag thing.
I know. I know. I was making a joke. Yeah, I heard some. You get it the same day, man. Come on,
They,
come on, man. Come on, Maryland, get your shit together.
I'd say I'd have to give them their props for the onslaught that they are facing with these permit requests.
You know
They,
what?
they seem to be doing the best job that they can.
I am surprised they're not trying to Weezer Louie out of it like California and New York.
Well, they did. They all that California and New York stuff is going to go on here. They're gonna push for all that stuff here too. Where, you can't. You got to register every bullet, and you got to register all the same stuff that they were talking about before. They're going to try here too. I think they've already talked about it.
I mean, with the permits themselves. I mean,
Well, there's no way they can actually get around it. What's up, Abigail? Thanks for joining us.
oh, there's no way, according to the Supreme Court ruling, they can't. Because look what New York did. The Supreme Court, in that ruling, stipulated that you cannot do what New York did.
Well, no, the thing with Maryland, what Maryland is going to do, in my opinion, and that's why I didn't really get too hyped up about it when I heard about this. because I'm waiting for the counter punch. I always wait for the counter punch because they're not just going to take it and, oh, good job, you beat us. The HQL, the handgun qualification license, the purchase permit basically in Maryland, that's what they're going to make impossible to get. That's going to be their end around to keep people from getting carry permits, is because you first got to get this in order to buy a gun anyway. So we're going to make this thing even more impossible than it already is. That's my guess is what they're going to do.
I can see that going into court because you got to have a permit. Basically, in Maryland, you got to have a permit to get the permit. It's kind of silly.
Yeah, effectively what it is it's a little piece of plastic that you get a code number on, and when you got to go on the internet to do your 4473 and all that, separate from the one you have to do in the store. And the code that you get on that little card that they give you, you have to put in, and that gives it's an application to buy a gun each individual time, basically.
Oh my God, they're doing that to you now?
Well, that's why you saw the video I put out. Congratulations, you are not disapproved. So
God, if that was recent, if it was recent, probably not, because I haven't been getting any notifications on anything you've been putting out.
Well, you've heard me talk about the congratulations, you're not disapproved.
Yeah.
That's their punch in the eye every time you get to buy a gun, as them telling you, we can put a stop to this anytime we want, license or no license. That's why they say, congratulations, you are not disapproved. Well, if I already got the handgun qualification and license, that means I took a background check. That means I went through training. That means I submitted all my paperwork and fingerprints. And you said that I was eligible to buy a gun in this state. Now, what you're saying is every single time I want to buy a gun in this state, I basically have to ask permission again.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know anybody personally that has a valid HQL that's ever been denied their pistol, but I also don't talk to everybody and haven't really looked to see. I mean, I haven't done any research whatsoever. But it's just, they let you know, congratulations, you are not disapproved.
You know what I had to do to get my permit? This is going to blow your mind. I just showed this, my state ID. You see where it says veteran right there next to my the little picture of it?
Yeah.
That got me my permit without having to take any test and without having to pay anything. Got it. Boom. Right there. Same day. They printed it out. Like, here you go. And the best part is I don't even need this permit to carry in this state, but I got it for carrying in other states.
Yeah, Abigail says you can. There's ways to do things. Basically.
Don't forget, Krabby, you can go right across the border and get a West Virginia permit, which would be good in Florida and PA.
Did they set that up yet? I remember we talked about that on your live stream, bro.
Yeah, that went live. What was it, a year or two ago?
Yeah, nice, cool. But see, that's where the problems that we had is, in order to get a license in a different state, you have to hold one in the state you live in. And no Marylanders had a carry permit.
No, West Virginia, you don't. You just go ahead and apply for it. No, West Virginia covers anybody that covers our permit. West Virginia covers. There's only a few states that West Virginia doesn't cover their. Well, you don't even need a permit in West Virginia, but there's a few states that don't honor our permit. Not many. So, I mean.
Yeah, I know a couple people that got the Ender 3 Abigail, and they're really happy with it. They're getting pretty good at it too.
Yeah. See, West Virginia, you don't have to have and your state's permit. You just go ahead and apply. You have to have the class, which you guys already have the class if you got your score sheets and everything. Just show that you just got to show them the certificate and that it was an NRA certified class, and you're good.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it, Abigail. I don't care about any law. I obey the laws because they're out there and they're currently not really inconveniencing me. But anytime a law inconveniences me more than I'm willing to deal with, it becomes instantly irrelevant. Go on guntube.org, Abigail. It's guntube.org. That's Night Strike's video hosting platform, and it's only 2A, all pro 2A, no stupid YouTube censorship, and you might be able to find some people over there that have the files you're looking for. The reason I say go over there is because you can post stuff over there and not have to worry about getting deleted by Night Strike. As long as it's legal. If it's illegal, then obviously. Thanks, Krabby.
And the whole he's talking about how Utah you got to have your permit in your state for the Utah permit to be good. If you guys remember when West Virginia passed that law, that was for people that lived in states like Maryland and whatnot, so they could at least get their permit and have it on, have a permit that was honored in other states, even if Maryland didn't do it because so they didn't have it where you had to have your own state's permit for it to be good. If you got that one, it was good anywhere,
From what I,
automatic.
from what I remember, uh, most states generally have a reciprocity. Like, hey, West Virginia is cool with us, then we're cool with West Virginia. And West Virginia is cool with us, so they're also cool with North Carolina, so we'll be cool with North Carolina, kind of thing. Most states were like, Maryland sucks, and we don't care about Maryland because Maryland hates everybody, so we're not going to look at that. But then, like, unfortunately, a lot of states do require you to have a license in your state before they'll honor you one in their state.
Yeah, surprise. The states that don't honor the West Virginia permit are all blue states. Who'd have thunk it, right?
Yeah.
And DC, obviously. So, Washington, Oregon, California, Illinois, Maryland, New Jersey, New York, Massachusetts. Those are the Puerto Rico doesn't, but Puerto Rico doesn't recognize any. Hawaii. So yeah. What's crazy is Delaware recognizes our permit. Delaware doesn't recognize anybody.
Yeah, it's weird. I know Rick, if you're looking to collect carry permits, Krabby, check with Rick from Rick's Life, as I know he's got one for like every state that he can. He's got a whole stack of carry permits for all the
Well,
different.
I don't know if he still does or not because he talked about getting rid of them because of the Illinois permit now
You're right.
or
Yeah.
Indiana permit.
And the
Rather
cost.
not. Yeah.
I remember that now. You're right. I'd like to see. I don't really like the serious debate when people bring up, yeah, but you can do this and that with a car when they're talking about guns and stuff. But it would be a really interesting thing to see Christy Nome from South Carolina or South Dakota be like, yeah, you know what? If you come in here from Maryland driving a car, we're going to pull you over because we don't believe Maryland's driver's license is worth a damn.
Mm.
And just start locking people up for coming through your state without a valid driver's license.
Apparently, Delaware recognizes a lot of states. So I don't know why everybody was making a big deal, because when I said that West Virginia's permits recognized by Delaware, there's a few states. Pennsylvania isn't one of them, interesting enough, and they border each other.
Pennsylvania is, uh, how can I put it? Pennsylvania is bolstered quite a bit by Pennsylvanians. Wait, Pennsylvania likes to point at Maryland and tell us how much we suck, and then forget that they suck pretty bad themselves.
Well, Pennsylvania's got a fairly good reciprocity list. It's just I'm shocked that Delaware isn't on the list. They're right next to them.
I know, but you can have a carry permit to carry in the governor's kid's bedroom, but you can't have it holstered while you're driving your car. So, I mean, I don't know. Pretty dumb.
No, but nobody pays attention to that. I know that from personal experience. That's like they did away with the law in West Virginia where you can't have a loaded rifle in your car because nobody paid attention to it anyway.
Yeah, I wouldn't move to Pennsylvania for any reason.
Yeah, apparently Delaware's like West Virginia. If you honor their permit, they'll honor your permit. So Pennsylvania needs to honor that Delaware permit, man.
Abigail's pretty cool. She said, sure, I can flatten a carjacker with my BMW, but I'd rather give them I'd rather give him a couple rounds of sphere gold. Oh, I found that funny.
Yeah, Nevada's weird, crabby. They did it one time, but Utah wouldn't cave. They were going to do away with, in Nevada, they were going to do away with reciprocity with West Virginia because when they did constitutional carry here, they originally proposed were going to do it where 18-year-olds were included. And Nevada threw a fit saying that they were going to cancel reciprocity with West Virginia. Now, West Virginia, believe it or not, has a large tourist business that goes to Nevada, specifically Las Vegas. There are a lot of people in this state that vacation in Vegas. So, that would have hurt a lot of people in this state when they would go on vacation. So West Virginia said, okay, we'll do a provisional permit for 18-year-olds, which means a whole lot of nothing really on paper if you look at it. And then we'll do constitutional carry starting at 21. So that we could keep our reciprocity with Nevada, because Nevada's a goofy state when it comes to that kind of stuff. And yeah, basically, it's probably the same thing kind of thing will happen with Utah. She said she'd rather replace a window than a front bumper or something. I don't know anymore. Those windows can be just as expensive, especially if you're driving a BMW.
Yeah, but you can have a glass company come out to your driveway and put a new windshield in. The body shop ain't gonna come put new bumpers on and paint and everything in your driveway.
Oh hell, BMW. The BMW doesn't have a fancy tool to take their windows out like they do their god dang fuel filters.
Plus, you probably have to whack your insurance. Like if you ran over a bad guy and screwed your bumper all up, you probably get whacked on your insurance. If you just pop a couple holes in your windshield and get it replaced, you don't even have to tell your insurance company. Well, as it
Yeah.
doesn't make like the nightly news or the front page or something.
Oh hell, you got anymore? You can get your windows covered on your insurance too now.
Yeah, but you don't want your rates to go up for having to pop, some scumbag.
Either way, you run over somebody, you gotta get your bumper fixed. You shoot them through the windshield, and the insurance company's going to hit you either way.
Gary, thanks for joining us. We do have a homework assignment for you, sir. Think of the wrestlers that you can remember that you really enjoyed listening to, whether when they were cutting promos or whether they were doing a commercial, whatever it might be, but not their wrestling, not their actually knocking each other around, just their character presence. And let us know either in the chat or you can email me or Rich or something like that. And we're going to put we, meaning Rich, is going to put together a bracket for
Yeah, I got volunteered for this.
either next week or the week after that for he's going to call it best on the mic, but that's what we mean by mic is their character presence outside the ring, meaning not wrestling but the acting part.
Yeah, it'll probably have to be not next week, but the week after, because my wife goes for surgery this week. So I don't know how much time I'm going to have to be able to put together a bracket or anything for next weekend. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to do a show next weekend. At this point, to be perfectly honest with you. So
That's all right. Krabby will go live and fill in for you.
uh, speaking of Gary, there is a shout out in the end card to the latest video I put up for the Gizzard, because now that I've hit 300 subs, I can promote other people's channels at the end of my videos now.
Oh, nice. You went over that with that P365 video.
Yeah, at the end of the video that I put, you'll see Gary's. If you didn't go all the way to the end of the video, Kingpin, shame on you.
Yeah, but I
But
don't
there,
and all that shilling that you guys do.
but you look, you'll see Gary's logo, and if you click on his logo, it'll take you to his YouTube page.
All right, there you go. There we go. She says, torn between DX, so you'll have to tell me who that is, and The Undertaker as far as promos are concerned, especially when Undertaker was with Paul Bearer. See, we talked about that, but she probably wasn't in the chat when we were talking about that.
Did you just ask who DX is? Is in D Generation X? Shawn Michaels, Triple H, New Age Outlaws, China.
Oh, that's a group of people.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Well, getting into the 2000s, they were a tag team. Before that, there was a 5-person stable. At one point, Rick Rude was in D-Generation X.
Ban Gary from the chat. He used the name that shall not be used.
Well, you don't like Harley Race?
You remember Harley Race and I have not been getting along lately.
Harley Race is dead, man. He ain't getting along with anybody.
No, but every time I picked him or didn't pick him in the stupid trivia shows, I
Oh, yeah. Okay, I know what you're talking about now. Okay.
either I said it wasn't and it was, or I said it was and it wasn't. And every time Harley Race came up, I got it wrong.
Uh-huh. Yeah, Harley Race was one of two guys that Andre the Giant was legitimately afraid of. You know who the other one was?
Bobby Heenan.
No, nobody was afraid of Bobby Heenan.
Let's see. I remember you told me one of these times. It was like one of the Samoan guys, right?
Close. He's a South Pacific Islander.
Jimmy Snuka.
No,
Okay. Unless somebody else in the chat wants to play along, I give up.
Haku.
I don't know what that means. Who's Haku?
WCW, he was Ming.
Hmm.
Damn it, I'll find a picture and show you who I'm talking about. You'll know as soon as I show you.
Yeah, probably. I think I kind of remember the Ming thing. How old are you now, Abigail?
What?
She said that she was talking about Hulk Hogan and stuff, and then she mentioned before she was born. And I know she's one of the younger ones, but I didn't know how old she was. So if it's not rude, I'm sorry, Abigail, if that was rude of me asking you. But if you don't mind, can I ask you how old you are?
Yeah. This guy. This guy right here.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah. This is the guy that bit somebody's nose off in a bar fight when Andre was sitting there drinking like 22 beers that night.
Thanks, Abigail. I'm sorry if that was rude.
She's my daughter's age.
Didn't he have a wrestling? Didn't he have a partner, or did he wrestle by himself mostly?
At times he did, and he was in a stable a lot of his career, but he also wrestled as a singles. But he was part of the Heenan family. Then he was part of the Dungeon of Doom over in WCW with Kevin Nash. I mean Kevin Sullivan, not Kevin Nash. Well, Kevin Nash was in the Dungeon of Doom too for a minute when he was Oz. So I mean, yeah. But yeah, that guy. That guy and Harley Race are the two guys that Andre the Giant was legitimately afraid of because they were he didn't want to mess with those two. Those were the two guys Andre wouldn't get angry with because he knew they would hurt him. That's true story, folks. But yeah, she's my daughter, my oldest daughter's age. Yeah.
Yeah, she gives people, old men like us, hope for the future because she's spunky. Nobody's gonna mess with her.
Oh, you met my daughter. Remember the daughter you met when you came up for what was it, a year ago?
Yeah. I would imagine your kids ain't gonna take too much jump off nobody either.
Mm-mm.
They'll tolerate what they have to tolerate, but they're not gonna let people cross the line.
Yeah, so she doesn't remember when DX was more than just Shawn Michaels and Triple H, and they were never. DX was never in the NWO. They were competing against the NWO.
Well, she's got the internet. I mean, if she's a wrestling fan, she could have probably watched reruns and stuff. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know about all that stuff gets lost in the sauce with me. I just remember the people and some of the stuff, like the Great American Bash and uh, the Crockett Cup and stuff like that. That was always cool.
Jeez. NWA just did a Crockett Cup not that long ago.
Bernie's with us. What's up, Bernie? I liked Glow. Was that what it was called? Gorgeous
Ladies of Wrestling. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was all right.
No, they were never in NWO. They were at that time. Shawn Michaels was in the NWO briefly after WCW collapsed and Vince bought them, and they did the merger thing, and Vince brought back the NWO. And Shawn Michaels was in it at that point. Shawn Michaels was never in WCW, so no, he was Triple H when he was in WCW. He was in a stable with William Regal called the Blue Bloods. So yeah, neither one of them were ever actually in the original NWO. They were in a Vince McMahon created thing that had the NWO name, but nothing else. The DX was actually created in the late 90s to combat the NWO, which at that time would have been Hall, Nash, Hogan, Savage. I'm trying to remember who else was in it. Ted DiBiase, Eric Bischoff, and who else was there? There was one other guy, and I can't remember who the hell it was. Oh, Virgil, who went by, I forget what the hell his name was in WCW. That was the cool phase of the NWO before they started having everybody and their mother join the faction. So, on that note, we've been going for about an hour and a half, and I really do have to get up in the morning, so I gotta get ready to get to bed. For once, it's me that has to jump out early, and not Kingpin or Jason. You got anything you want to say before we get out of here?
No, thanks everybody for hanging out. Always welcome to come back and chill, whether we talk about wrestling or not. So appreciate you, Abigail, Bernie, Gary, Krabby, of course. Seen Fiend Dog was out there earlier, and Kevin, Chris, everybody. Have a good night.
Yep. Yeah, like you said, thanks for coming out and watching, folks. We had a decent sized crowd tonight, more than what we normally get. We usually get more people watching this in replays when we do live. It was nice to have a big crowd actor watching it live for once, so that was cool, and everybody participating. So that was cool as well. I mean, even Gary, who isn't really into wrestling anymore, he's out there participating and talking about the wrestling thing, bringing up Harley Race. Yeah, Harley Race is another guy that a lot of people don't remember, but he was really good on the mic. He was another one of those like Jake Roberts, who he wasn't somebody who got there and scream. He would get out there. I should say he was more like Ole Anderson, but Ole was the same way. Ole wouldn't get out there and scream. Ole would just tell you how it was, and you believed him. Jake would get out there. He wouldn't scream. He would whisper, and he would scare the shit out of you. Ole and Harley Race would get out there. They would just talk in their normal voice. And the looks in their faces and stuff, you just believed that everything that they said was the gospel and it was going to happen exactly how they said it. Both of those guys, again, different generations, I know, but those guys were really good on the mic with the way they did it. So, I mean, you gotta, there's different ways you can be on the mic. There's different ways you can do it. But it still takes an inner charisma to make it work. And everybody that we listed that we said was good on the mic, including Harley Race and Ole Anderson, they had it. You know what I mean? The it factor. So anyway, until tomorrow night, we will bid you all adieu for the night. And have a good night, everybody. And we will leave you with this little...
You guys are probably really scared right now, and I understand that completely. But I get the better of the deal, and even though it's 3 versus 2, you guys are outnumbered because we're better than you guys. Yeah, we are. We're legends in our own mind compared to you guys. Even though you guys got the egos, we have got the wrestling skill. And this guy right here, we're the Space Cowboys.